And what is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Sunday night college football after dark, right here on the Voice of College Football. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And of course, as always, please hit that like button. Helps out the show tremendously. Also, again, if you're new to check out the SEC channel, the Big 12 channel, and the Big 10 channel, as well as the other team channels. If you love college football like us degenerates here do, you will find something that you like, whether it's your team or just of interesting topics. I'm Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam right here. You can find me here on YouTube, Exploring with Ben and Sam, or on Twitter, Exploring with Ben. Instagram and Twitter are linked in there too through the YouTube. And Jordan, introduce yourself quickly too.
Yep. Jordan over from the Clemson Voice of College Football channel. I do a show every Thursday with Tiger Paul Craven called The All In Show. So check us out there. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check me out there. My Twitter is also being linked in the chat if you want to go and give me a follow. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I guess move on down to Will.
Hey guys, it's Will from the Notre Dame channel. I also do some solo stuff on Will ND. Right now I'm just doing a show with me and Jeffrey every Monday. We rotate between his channel and our channel. We talk about the last week's college football games and the games in the future. And yeah, I'll be on the post-game show. I couldn't be on last week because I was at yesterday's game because I was at the game. But yeah, I'll be on the post-game show for Notre Dame as well.
Mike, tell everyone about your secret profiles.
And we're going over to Jackson.
Jackson.
Well, I'm Jackson. I host a show called The Jacksonian. And I also come on here, talk about college football every now and again, so to speak. And check me out on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Michigan Man, go blue, or go blue, whichever you want to go by these days.
Hey, man, I'm just a lover of football, man. You know, football is a tough sport. You got to be tough, man.
Spaz, I know I skipped over ours because I know you're going to cover down on it. So where can people find you, Spaz?
Spaz, Ducks, Oregon, YouTube, college football channel. Go live on Tuesday, our pre-week segment show talking about the upcoming matchup versus the opponent that week. And Saturday's post-game with me, Ben, Derek, and Sean. And Sunday nights I'm on here. And I love watching the little battles we have. It's going to get interesting.
No, it won't.
Well, I'm going to shoot it to Tim, but that's right. Spaz and me, Oregon Ducks live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central on the Oregon channel, and then post games on Saturdays as well as here on Sunday. Tim, where are people finding you at these days?
So every Monday you can find us, Mark and Matt and myself. Actually, tomorrow we got the Keys to the Castle. They won't be there, but we got the Trojan Conquest live tomorrow night without Mark. So it'll be Matt and myself covering that. Sure to have a complete chat full of Sooners like we had today. And then Wednesday you have the Pac-12 show with us as always, and then the post-game show after every USC home game and away game.
Now, what do you guys do on the Pac-12 show, Tim? You guys talk about all the games coming up for that week or just specific things in general?
No, we cover all the Pac-12 as well as Notre Dame. We always cover Notre Dame as well.
Oh, okay.
Notre Dame's kind of like an honorary. We've made them an honorary Pac-12 team since they can't figure out what conference they really want to be in. They got one foot in ACC. We let them put the
I'm
other
sure
foot
they'd
in
love to
Pac-12.
join the Big Ten and then, you know, get a chance at you going forward.
I believe you guys ran away from them, so I don't know what you're talking about. That's fine.
What was the score of the last game we played? Just out of curiosity.
Who are we? Oh, we beat you We beat you in the Rose Bowl last time we played.
No, not USC. Talking
Oh, that was
about
Brian Kelly era. That was Brian Kelly. That was Brian Kelly. We're in a new era now. That was Brian
Oh
Kelly.
yeah. Anyways, we can keep it.
All right, you two. This weekend there was multiple, obviously, some matches coming up, but this weekend gave us everything that you love about college football. And I think there's no better way to start it. I noted in our private chat, like our topic list, and as the title of the show. How are Hail Marys still successful these days in college football after all the years of just defensive coaches being like, got it down? And immediately starting the weekend for real, West Virginia takes a hard loss to Houston on the road with a Hail Mary with like 15 seconds left.
I saw a little bit of it, and I was just thinking, what do you do, Tom? Knock it down. West Virginia couldn't, man. It was
3
good
seconds.
grief.
3 seconds were left on the clock.
And
Yeah.
you have to know that Dana Holgorsen is like somewhere just laughing his ass off right now.
The Holgorsen Bowl.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
he's
a
celebrating.
special way to beat your old stomping grounds like that. And, having them come to your house, they get a late score. I mean, Garrett Green drives West Virginia all the way down the field. He throws a touchdown to a former walk-on, and then just for that to happen, it's pretty incredible. But it was a great game. It was a great way to kick off, really the weekend. I don't know how I've been struggling with how good is West Virginia, because I think they've played pretty well up to this point. Obviously, that loss was tough, and 9 times out of 10 in that situation, that Hail Mary isn't successful, and they wind up winning that game.
Right.
Well, I think they get some votes
you know-
in this last top 25.
Yeah, I think they have a few. But what is I'm still kind of struggling with what their prospects are moving forward. I mean, is this a 6-6 team, or is a collapse on the way? Because I mean, Neil Brown is coaching for his job right now, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic here. And that loss, is unfortunate considering. I mean, it just seemed like that was a win that West Virginia needed to get. And
West Virginia hasn't even played the best offenses yet in the conference.
No.
So it could be a collapse coming. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
If they need to
Well,
get
West
in the right
West Virginia's got a pretty big game against Oklahoma State next Saturday in Morgantown, so they better rebound quick.
If they don't win this one, I think it could get ugly. But they need to just take their anger out against the Pokes. But Oklahoma State has been playing better. So I don't know. I'm not that confident in West Virginia winning the game. But I don't know, man. I feel like this next game might be their season.
Well, think about that game. This game could be the game that decides the hot seat for Mike Gundy or Neil Brown, because Mike Gundy's turned that team around, and now Neil Brown's kind of off, but going back towards the hot seat. So
I think Gundy's seat's going to stay hot for the rest of the season, no matter what. I think his season got permanently hot when he lost to one of the worst Pac teams early on in the season.
Well, yeah. Well, they
won that game,
got
though, right?
smacked
They beat
down by
Arizona
South
State.
Alabama, so that's never going to help. So that's bad. But where do we stand on Dana Holgorsen is the question. Because, I mean, does this buy him a little time?
Probably.
Can we call Joey and ask him what he thinks of Dana Holgorsen? I'm sure he could tell us.
I think they need a goal for him to keep the job.
We don't need that rage on here.
I think they just
I
need
mean,
to
I
make that goal.
personally
They need
have
6
some-
I think he needs 6 wins to get it to stay.
I think so too, and I personally have some ill will towards Dana Holgorsen for some deep rooted painful memories. So but I don't know. It was such a interesting game because both coaches are kind of in really pivotal moments in their tenures, and just the way for that game to play out was pretty incredible, because it's like, on Houston's and they're like, well, yeah, he won that game, but he was that was kind of lucky. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. Very easily could have lost that game. And then Neil Brown, on the other hand, is like, I probably should have won that game, but it's a loss, and you're going to hold that. Are you going to hold that against me? And they kind of it felt like they threw the kitchen sink and fell short, at least from the West Virginia standpoint. I mean, they aired it out. Garrett Green had like 350 yards passing, like 2 touchdowns. They really did a lot to try and win that game, and so I'm just interested to see kind of how that dynamic plays out for the rest of the year.
Well, just hope that Houston's not celebrating too much, because they got to deal with Texas next Saturday.
Yeah,
it's going to be ugly.
Pissed off Texas coming off a bye.
Well, I mean, you look at the Hail Mary, you go, okay, yeah, 9 out of 10 times that probably won't work. It worked the one time. That's all that matters at the end of the day. On the board, the scoreboard, the win-loss column. But we wanted to end the week with one more Hail Mary, just for good fashion. Colorado State scored 20 unanswered points in 4 minutes with 2 onside kick attempts and a Hail Mary to beat Boise State for the first time in 13 tries.
2 onside kicks?
They tried for 2. They got 1. The second one they got called for a penalty. Then they got a stop. But I mean, then they still had to go down with like 15 seconds to do a Hail Mary and got it on the deflection. It was 20 unanswered points in 4 minutes, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
not gonna lie, I didn't know anything about it until I joined the StreamYard. Colorado State and Boise State really don't catch my radar.
This is not the Boise State of old. That is for sure.
No,
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
this is
blowing
not your uncle's boy. This is not your like cousin's Boise State team.
No, I mean, blowing a 20-point lead with 4 minutes left. Good God.
Andy Avalos, I think, should be gone. After that game, I think that was a fireable offense.
Yeah. What's crazy is Boise State fans basically celebrated Ryan Harsin's departure. I don't think he would have allowed this to happen.
No.
I mean, sometimes you get what you wish for.
Brian Harsin couldn't win the big games at Boise State, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he at least didn't blow 20-point leads with 4 minutes left in the game.
Right.
Well, he ain't at Auburn anymore. Then go get him.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard to do for any team. Is to blow a 20-point lead in 4 minutes. That's almost impossible.
Unless you want to blow a 29-point lead.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Don't
we're definitely getting there. There is one suggestion Boise State could go get to be their Nets head coach. Chris Peterson, maybe get him out of retirement for a second.
No, let's not.
Him going back.
I don't think
he's going back.
And maybe we get Urban Meyer too. He'll come out of retirement. I mean, every time I hear Urban Meyer or Peterson's name come up, it's just like, let's just let that thing go.
I'm sure Peterson is.
He'd be a great defensive coordinator, Tim.
What's that?
You could probably pick Urban Meyer up at the tarmac and exchange him for Alex Grinch.
Why would we do that?
Hey, well, I mean, look, guys, if you had to pick between 3 offensive coordinators, who would you pick? Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, or Alex Grinch? Who's the best offensive coordinator out of those? I think it's actually
Alex Grinch was a defense
why would Grinch be an offensive coordinator?
So he's out.
I don't know, man. I think Alex Grinch, man. I think he might as well be an offensive coordinator. All the points he gives up.
I think Lincoln Riley would be a hell of an offensive coordinator.
Lincoln.
The other team literally has
he kind of already is. I mean, Lincoln Riley is sensitive. I mean, he's the play caller.
Every team USC plays.
Well, no.
Pretty much have 2 offensive coordinators.
He's like how Chip Kelly is. Chip Kelly calls the plays. He's not the OC, but he calls the plays.
Lincoln Riley's only 17-2 in the regular season at USC, so you got to probably pass on him.
That's crazy that Lincoln Riley has to play 2 OCs every week. That is insane.
We're on
we
USC
did that last year.
Okay. Since we're on this topic, we have the 2 Hail Marys. There may have been another one, so I apologize to any teams that I missed on a Hail Mary. Tim, just rip the Band-Aid off because we had to talk. We talked about there's a lot of them. So this wasn't picking on you at all. Because guess what? I'm defending your defense this week because your offense put your defense in bad situations this week. Your defense actually did nothing wrong this week. It was your damn offense that really kind of screwed you guys over this week. But Notre Dame comes out victorious in, surprising fashion, I will say. I didn't think it was going to look like that. But your offense screwed your defense in this one, Tim.
Well, I'll tell you, if any offense gives up, if any defense gets 21 points on them after giving up a total of 14 yards, then you're probably in a situation, and that's what happened Saturday. If anyone here wants to tell me they saw this coming, the way it went down. Now, if someone wants to say, "Hey, we saw some chinks in the armor," and we probably thought that the Irish were favored in this game. It's in South Bend. It's not surprised they won. But if you tell me that you knew the SC was going to lose by 28 points and that they're a 5-0 turnover ratio, and that Caleb, who threw 3 interceptions all last year, was going to throw 3 interceptions in one half, you're full of shit. So let's just get that right off the table.
Probably the least shocking result of the weekend.
Is someone talking? Who's talking? Someone was talking, I think. And so kudos to the Irish. They came out with a game plan, and they absolutely took it to USC. They punched USC in the mouth, and USC had no response for it, which, again, is another way you lose, and you lose badly. But Benjamin Morrison, I said on my show, Benjamin Morrison, Xavier Watts, and Hall, dude, those guys are just lights out. With those 3 guys, you could blanket almost the entire field and play up front as much as you want. And I think that's what USC ran into. I think they're just going to get better as the season goes on. Again, you cannot turn the ball over 5 times, 3 times on your own on your side, 4 times on your side. You'll scoop and score. Interception return to the 2-yard line, interception to the 12-yard line. You have a kickoff return. The offense really screwed them, and they deserved it.
Well, one thing I thought interesting, didn't Notre Dame have like fewer than 50 offensive plays that game?
USC's defense did a really good.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a good. Yeah, I mean, when you said 45.
I believe 45.
I mean, 45 offensive plays. That's actually a blindingly good stat for USC's defense.
You want to hear a blindingly good stat for USC's defense was Notre Dame had a 33% offensive success rate. That shows you how they shut them down on a full field. I mean, 50 is average. 40 is below average. They were 33 as their success rate. USC held them to. Hartman had like 120 yards passing, and then SMA was under 100 yards rushing. If you told me all that stuff, I said there's no way USC loses, because who here expects Caleb to throw 3 interceptions like that? This is but here's the problem, though. This isn't a one-off. This is 2 weeks in a row where Caleb has looked absolutely kryptonite. He's totally like Clark Kent, not Superman, because he's been held to 205 yards last week and 199 yards passing this week. I mean, that's a pretty amazing stat. And I'm not going to hang it all on Caleb. He was off. There's no doubt about it. He was off. But there's some serious problems on the USC offensive line, especially on the right side of the USC offensive line. Almost a sieve, really. Will tell us they are not known for their pressure rate at all, or sacks. They're not doing very well on that end of the ball. And yet, for some reason, the guys are going unblocked. One really key play was in the second quarter. USC is down 10-3, about the 30-yard line, 4th and 1. And for some reason, the tight end decides, hey, I'm taking the play off. Let's the end rush right past him and get to the mesh point before even Caleb hands the ball off. I mean, it was bad. There were some really bad points. And it's not just simply that Caleb had a bad game. There are some major issues on the right side of USC's line. And then the third issue for USC is, damn it, Mark. I just saw Mark's in the chat. I got to say it. USC's receivers aren't as good as I thought they were. Okay, I said it, Mark. They're not getting a lot of separation. I do think, though, that with Zachariah Branch coming back healthy, he's going to help that out a little bit. But anyone thought that Dorian Singer would come in and replace Jordan Addison, we can definitely see some deficits there. So was this game, is Notre Dame 28 points better than USC? I even think Will could tell you that they're not. USC got smashed in the mouth, played a crappy game, but Notre Dame was the one that smashed them in the mouth, so all credit goes to that team. But USC just didn't play its game, and I'm hoping they bounce back against Utes.
Yeah. When I say I saw this coming, I'm not talking about the exact score. I'm talking about I saw a whooping coming. When you've been watching USC the past 3 weeks, and you see them go down 17-0 to Arizona, you see them give up 28 points to Arizona State, struggle at times in that game against a terrible ASU team, allow Colorado to come back. They have O-line issues. A whooping was coming. Whether it was going to be this past week or the weeks going forward. So when I say I saw it coming, I'm not talking, I saw the exact way it played out. But I'm not shocked by them losing by the multiple scores that they lost by, period.
Yeah, well, it's great that you saw it coming and it didn't come out the way you said it was. Did you hear the part where it said they had a 33% offensive success rate? Did you catch that part?
Well,
do you know what that even,
speaking of that, yeah, that means they didn't have a lot of success on offense, obviously. Anyways, speaking of that, I'm not shocked by. I think I called into your show before the game and I said that I could see USC's defense having success against them because I don't think in Notre Dame's offense is that hard to stop if you got the athletes. Period. They've shown that in the 3 previous weeks that they're not that hard to stop. Ohio State, Duke, and Louisville. They all showed that you can stifle their offense. You don't need an elite, good, whatever defense to do that.
I'm not sure where you heard anyone say that USC's defense was elite.
Well, I'm hearing you say that you think they're going to improve and become good or whatever you were saying about the defense. They're going to come back down there. They might lose 4 games.
I've watched football for a long time here in Michigan. What Michigan? I call you Michigan man. Michigan man. I've seen it a lot of football, and rarely do you see a defense that does not get injury not improve during the season.
So where they ranked at right now? Tell me out of curiosity, where they ranked in total defense? Let's talk about improvement. Are they going to go from 120 to 105? Are they going to go from?
He's using total defense as a metric for football.
We can go by any metric we want, man. Pass defense, pass efficiency defense. What do you want to go by? They're bad in like almost everything.
I want to go by. What's your point?
My point here is, man, even though you play good on defense, I would not hold your hat on that being a precursor for the rest of the season because stifling Indy's offense has been shown to not be that difficult. That's all I'm saying. I'm
seriously trying to figure out what point you're trying to make. Because I'm
just saying you got 4 losses. You got maybe 3, 4, even 5 losses coming. That's all I'm saying.
So again, just for all the Mensas out there, the absolute worst and worthless stat in football is total defense.
Period. What's that you want to go by, Tim? They're not good in they're good in pass rush. Affecting the passer.
Anyone in the chat want to hear this conversation? This guy seriously bores me, and I'm really done.
Well, then we're going to move on.
Whatever you want to say, we can move on, man.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on. But,
Good God.
But I don't want to take away from obviously what Will's defense did, against the offense, because obviously that created the situation. But
yeah, I was going to say that
Notre turnovers. That's what happened in that game. Notre Dame played good defense, and they won. There's not that much to figure out.
Well,
yeah, I looked at the stats for Notre Dame's red zone defense. Last night, it was 5th in the nation. Now it's 4th in the nation. That was pretty big right there.
Oh, yeah.
I was impressed with it. I was stunned when I saw that.
Their corners, Hall,
Hart.
What's that?
It's Hart, but it's okay.
I keep calling him Hall. Yeah, sorry. Hart and Morrison. Both those guys. I think I was talking. Was it the Mark or I can't remember. I was talking to you guys. That's how you. In the old days, right? You put around linebackers. I think with more modern football, I'd rather have 2 lockdown corners than have 2 stud inside linebackers. I just really would, because that gives you so much room to play with on your defense. You can play man, so you put numbers up front. or you can load up for, you can go man zone. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. And I'm telling you, Will, you guys, I'm bummed out that guy's a grad transfer, but Morrison's a real stud of those two. And you guys can build your team around him. He will be able to lock down one side of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's what Freeman does that Riley doesn't do. He in practice, he gets them to tackle. He gets them to be physical. He gets them to be tough. I don't know what Riley's doing. I don't know if he's sitting down eating a cupcake, telling them, hey, take it easy this day. I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. But it's
Well, we're going to end that. I'm going to just end that.
Can I talk a little bit?
I think that scintillating
that was the point. To Will, because it's your guys' victory. Your defense did what it needed to do. That was the name of the game right there. And so, what is Will doing?
Like, I'm proud of the D line for improving. Like, I mean, the offense has kind of gotten worse, but the defense, especially the D line, have that gone. Okay, I know USC's offensive line, people don't think it's as good as it was, but like the two main guys that were hyped up this year were Howard Cross and Riley Mills. And man, those guys were wreaking havoc on everyone. Like Riley, I know he was working against the center, but he got home like pretty much every play, and that was just huge. Like you cannot let Caleb, you can't let him loose, which Irish did let him loose a couple of times. But I mean, he's Caleb Williams. He won a Heisman Trophy. He's really good. But man, they kept him off balance all day. I'm just so proud of him, man. Like I know this sounds corny, but like I feel connected to the team. Like I don't know the guys, but like I watch them on YouTube a lot, and they're giving interviews a lot. So like I feel like I start caring about the players, and like I'm just so happy that they're able to get it done. And yeah, they both had just huge games, and also the linebackers last year just weren't great, and like all three guys of the starters, Jack Kaiser, JD Bertrand, Maris Leofau, they were awesome as well as Jalen Sneed, who's got hyped up a lot, and Thomas Harper. I mean, those guys all had great games too. Of course, like Xavier Watts with the 3 picks. And of course Ben and Cam did their thing. But yeah, I think everyone on the defense, just like Al Golden from last year to this year, has made such an improvement, and I'm just really excited about. Hopefully next year this keeps going with the new group coming in, because obviously the defense is going to be a lot different with the linebackers leaving, all three of those guys, and Cam, and probably Xavier Watts. He might come back, but it's going to be a lot different next year. But with the recruiting classes that are coming in under Freeman, I think the defense continue to be good. Next year, hopefully the offense can take that step, because the receivers that we brought in that were like the high ceiling guys, Braylon James and KK Smith, hopefully they can get more separation. But if we can do that next year, I'm going to be really excited. But obviously the offense needs a lot of work. I'm happy the bye week's coming now, because hopefully they can buckle down and focus on the offense, because the offense hasn't been great in a while. But if we can, but of course we have to go to Death Valley, and that game is not going to be like right now. If we had to play that game next week, I don't know if we would win. Like I think I'll probably pick Clemson right now, just because like of all the games that we've had to play, and I feel like the guys we're exhausted now. But I think that having that bye week is huge, and I think hopefully our offense could just have a great game against Pitt. I'm really hoping that our offense shows out against the Panthers, and that Jared Parker gets his act together. Because if he doesn't, I don't think he should be coming back next year.
Yeah, Pitt looked like a million.
I was going to say, Will, if Wake Forest Clemson shows up that day, I wouldn't be super excited about Clemson's chances in that game.
I don't know. Death Valley at night just scares the crap out of me.
2 days ago,
I hope it's that night. We got screwed out of that.
I will say I'm glad Notre Dame's not having to go to Pitt to play Pitt, and instead of it being at Pitt, it's at Notre Dame. Because I mean, if it's at Pitt, you better run for the hills. Because
we always have crazy games against Pitt. Like I know we played them in the COVID year and we destroy them, but Pitt always scares the crap out of me, man. Like That
I
2012
don't
year with
mind.
Manti that we had the special undefeated season. I think that was a 3 or 4 overtime game. We beat
3
Pitt.
overtime.
3 overtime.
Yeah.
And they couldn't have made a field goal to beat us in one of the overtimes, but they missed the field goal.
I mean, you got a
And
couple
that-
other.
Oh yeah, that was
undefeated
the
season.
Paul Christ era of Pitt.
Yeah,
It
that was
was.
that. So like Pitt always scares me, even though if it's at home. But we should.
So
win.
true, Mark. That is so
win.
true. I mean, Central Florida and Louisville and a few other ranked teams in years past can definitely agree with that.
Get it, Ben?
We have, besides that, obviously I want to touch upon this. We weren't going to get into it right this second, but because the Super Chat's here and it's Erica, and we love Erica, let's just rip off the Band-Aid of the other bad topic, the ugly, for this weekend, real quickly. How is that Wisconsin's air raid offense coming along? Oops, sorry, it's not. Far too much whiskey Kool-Aid during the off season. Go Hawks, baby.
Thanks, Eric.
Erica, I don't know how Iowa does this, like week in and week out. I really don't understand because it's just mind blowing.
Well, it's not necessarily an air raid op. You got to remember, Longo had some rushers at North Carolina, so I mean he gets a lot of praise as being an air raid. But this is actually a more balanced offense. So the fact that he can't really, utilize Braylon Allen properly kind of makes me wonder how this season is going to go with Wisconsin.
That was definitely the ugly game of the week, though. That won the award.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that he doesn't have the skill, the talent at the skill positions that he had at North Carolina. I mean, it does, change the calculus a little bit.
It's the first year. Give him some time.
Yeah, so what I have here is a stat of Iowa's passing yards all season this season. No joke. So they're now ranked 24th, not in a poll that actually matters, but we'll get to that in a bit. But the top they have 24 passing yards all season. This is how bad their passing game is.
And the other problem is that they have no wide receiver play. Everything is to the tight ends, which is, all in Lachey. Their wide receivers might as well be, statues out there.
Yeah. This is not good. Like they're not even meeting the bare minimum on offense. And Brian Ferentz isn't. And they may still win the West Division, no doubt.
It's theirs to lose.
Yeah.
Well, if Erica didn't see the stat, this is why it's the ugly. So, Erica, please look away really quickly as we look at the yardage here. 15-6. That is definitely an Iowa score. 9 to 18 first downs. 37 passing yards for Iowa. 200 rushing yards. Okay, that's fine. That's good. That's good. But it's not that stat.
Well, a lot of that was off the one LaShawn Williams touchdown run.
Exactly. But so 237 yards of offense. The MVP of this game goes to
Corey Taylor,
the Iowa punter. 506 yards. That is the MVP of the Iowa-Wisconsin game.
Hunting is winning.
That man is a monster.
That's elite right there. This is football the way God intended. No, but it also Deacon Hill might be my favorite starting quarterback in all of college football. I mean, that guy is an absolute unit. I'm a huge Deacon Hill fan. I've never seen we don't see quarterbacks that are like 260 pounds. I think he's listed at like 250, but when I look at him, I think he's probably closer to 260. Good Lord, man.
I gotta say, I don't like being negative, but it's just the worst the Big Ten West has been.
It's a big boy, though.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be bad too if I had to go against Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State in the Big Ten title. I mean, that's not good.
Well, we've already seen what Penn State will do.
Yeah.
Well, Erica, thank you, of course, always for all the super chats. You were
But I won't.
it was the ugly game of the week by itself, but a good win for Iowa because they hold their own destiny in the Big Ten West, so to say, right now. At least they're in the lead. I don't know if they hold their own destiny yet, but they're in the lead
Congrats to
of the Big Ten West.
Hawkeye
So
Nation.
you got to take it, right?
Yeah. The
saw
Tennessee
somebody
Texas
in-
A&M game was also bad. Like that was also
Oh,
a bad
man.
football game.
Yeah, it was.
Oh God.
man.
Yeah.
That was pretty rough.
Have two TVs on for the afternoon games, and we had the Oregon game on Oregon Washington game on the big TV, and then over in the corner we took our pick of the second best game of the 12:30s, and we put that Tennessee game up, and was like, I look over now and then fourth quarter, I'm like 14-13, huh? It was only like the second time I'd even looked over at that game the whole 2 hours. Terrible.
Joe Milton, man, living up to everything I thought he would.
Yeah, Tennessee
Hey, they
won in spite of Joe Milton.
Mac
Wasn't he your
Jones-
Didn't they have a
Yeah, he used to start at Michigan, and we like to forget about that if possible.
didn't they have a special teams return for a touchdown or something like that?
Yeah, that's why that was the difference in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
D. Williams for a 39-yard punt return.
a 39
And
yard
also Tennessee
return?
rushing.
What was a block?
Nope.
I didn't see that game, so I'm not gonna.
I watched a
But-
little bit of Tennessee
I mean,
Texas
wa-
A&M.
Watching that, looking at the stats of the quarterbacks, that was why.
Yeah, it wasn't a good. It was not a good, well quarterbacked game, but I mean, Tennessee ran pretty effectively. I think they ran for 200 plus yards. I mean, that's what they've been this year. Like if you've been watching Tennessee, they've been a run first offense, and they have some really talented backs. Their offensive line is pretty good. So I mean, they're not the explosive, high powered, put up 40 points a game, Hendon Hooker putting up crazy numbers every week type of offense, but I still think they're pretty good. And I think the defense has improved a ton. I think they're playing a lot better than they did last year.
Well, they couldn't have been worse than last year.
Good point. But I think they're a legitimately good defense. But like from most metrics, like I think they're like top 20 in total. I know total defense is kind of outdated, but yards per play, they're pretty high up there. A lot of the advanced metrics, they're pretty good. So I mean, Tennessee's pretty good. I think they're not. I don't think they're what they were last year, but they're a pretty solid team. I think still. I think people kind of wrote them off after that debacle in the swamp, but I still think they're pretty solid.
Yeah, that's a fatal mistake, writing someone off after a bad loss, especially Tennessee, because they still got some say in the East Division.
Oh yeah, they totally do.
Well, Tennessee's known for that. I mean, if you remember last year, they got absolutely whooped by a terrible South Carolina team.
Yeah. I can't speak on that too much.
Yeah, because you were the next one in the South Carolina revenge tour.
We were the next victim. Yeah.
I mean,
we
they
have
had
to-
Marshawn Lloyd and
wait.
Jaheim Bell. I mean, that they had some good players.
Yeah. No, I mean, the South Carolina team. I think that South Carolina team was better than, and not just because Clemson lost to them, but they were a better team than people gave them credit for because they were so poorly coached on the offensive side of the ball for 10 weeks of the season. And then they finally basically demoted Marcus Satterfield, who Nebraska fans are figuring out is not very good. And the offense kind of opened up a little bit, simplified some of Spencer Rattler's reads and, got the ball to some of their playmakers. Because, I mean, they have dudes. I mean, Juice Wells is really, really good. Xavier Legette is balling out this year, but he was pretty good last year. Obviously, we mentioned Jaheim Bell, who's now at Florida State. They had talent on offense. So I think they kind of wasted that team in a sense because I thought they were a lot better last year than they are this year. But yeah, you're seeing they still are pretty explosive on offense, and I think they made a much more competent hire this time around at offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that game a little bit that they just played, but it wasn't the offense that caused them to lose that game against Florida. So,
well, going back with that after with the Iowas, now we've got over the ugly there with that hit. Talk about blowouts, because obviously there was quite a few. We're going to get to some of the other notable ones. I said to Mark, hey, I think James Madison and Georgia Southern is going to be a good game. No, it turned out to be an absolute beatdown by James Madison, who is now 6-0 on the season, still not ranked in certain polls or Mark's top 25 that makes sense. Come on, Mark. Where is the love for James Madison? I'm calling you out, Mark. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
Who have they played?
They beat Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia's a kicking post this year, though.
They were last year, too.
Hey, they won a game. Woo! Go Virginia. They beat William and Mary, so that's not
Well, Georgia Southern was 5-1, so they weren't exactly like a total pushover team either. They blew them out. So, I'm calling you out, Mark. Calling you out. James Madison, Ohio State tomorrow. Let's do this.
It's not from a power ranking. I mean, from a power ranking standpoint, yeah, JMU is probably they're definitely not a top 25 team if you're like it, but you got to put them in there. The ranking, I guess their record is, I guess you'd have to acknowledge that, but yeah, they're not. I don't think they're a top 25 team, or I think they're like 26 right now. I think they're first in receiving votes, but they're not that good.
Yeah, I think they're first in receiving votes, but we also have the obligatory unranked group of 5 team with Air Force down there at the bottom.
Yeah,
it's true. I had to give some love for James Madison 2 years in a row, and they've been doing really well, even though they're still not bowl eligible.
Yeah, I hate that rule so much.
That's a bad rule by the NCAA.
That Josh Allen touchdown pass just cost me the fantasy football game.
Well, we also had without Riley Leonard, Duke still defensively rolls over teams as they take down North Carolina State 24-3. I consider that a blowout.
I'll say this much about this game. NC State has one of the worst offenses I've ever seen, at least currently. So I mean, Duke has a legitimate defense, but this is what happens when a legitimate defense plays a god awful offense. And Duke didn't even play that well, offensively, but they really didn't have to do that much. So yeah, it's kind of how it. It's kind of how that works.
Well, that's kind of like for Mike, I guess, for Michigan rolling over Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
There's really not much to discuss about the game.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Okay, go for it.
Look, man, there ain't much to discuss. But I will say this. Michigan, in the first quarter, we did face a little adversity. A little bit. All right. They had 100 and some yards. We had 0 at one point. And then after that, it was 400 and some yards to 90. Proceeded to score 52 straight. But, one thing I think people got to realize, man, it's the first team since 1936 to average 30 plus through 7 games and allow less than 7 points per game. Some people got to realize Michigan is doing something historic right now. That's all I got to say.
We'll see when they play Penn State. We'll see.
No, hey, that's a good team, man. That's a good team.
And I guess I'll throw in a little quick thing. It's just another good defensive effort. their one score was off a gadget flea flicking reverse touchdown crap things like. And that just seems to be kind of part and parcel. Seems like the only time they ever get any type of leeway our opponents do is on some sort of, triple reverse, gadget plays. So, overall, I'm happy with the defense. And
Yeah, I mean the defense is it's the best Michigan defense I've ever seen. I mean they lead the country in interceptions, return yards. They lead the country in interceptions, return for touchdowns. The starting defense, I don't even think he's given up 30 points on the year yet through 7 games. Garbage time adjusted, they're number 1 in yards per play on defense. I mean, there isn't too much to say, man. The games are boring. The starters still haven't played a fourth quarter yet.
Yep.
All right.
I literally heard cricket there.
The cricket sound effect because
Hey, I'd be quiet too, man. I'd be quiet too.
I mean, Michigan's pretty good. I think that's pretty well established. Let's see what else is on the dock.
I want all the Pac-10 guys to come back so we can talk about the absolute head scratcher to me, which is this Arizona the Arizona team just going up to Pullman and just putting a molly-whopping on Washington State.
I mean, I will say this for Arizona. That's an example. Their performance against SC was a moral victory for them, and they carried on that moment. Like, I know people say there's no moral victories, but I think that really helped them give them the belief. They're like, hey, we can compete with the top teams in the pack.
Well, they gave Washington all they wanted to.
I think that's the point I made on the show. I am not saying Arizona is a top 25 team and is a good team, but they're not horrible. What Jed Fish has been able to do to a really just sucking win program is a testament to the coaching. Because they've got some ballers on offense. I mean, they really do. The issue for them has always been defense. And, they've made some strides this year on defense. And really, I think most of it's coaching. And kudos to them for what they've been able to do because they held Penix and Caleb to two of their worst. Well, actually, now, sorry, Caleb's second worst display of the entire season. So that's no small task. I mean, all you guys out there thinking that being able to do that to Washington and USC, it's no big deal. You got to stop and take a look at what they were able to do.
I'm guessing Cam Ward had season lows as well.
Just I mean, Cam Ward, that guy's got a lively, quick, sweet release, deadly accurate on the short to mid throws, and all okay on his deep balls. But to be able to do that 3 weeks in a row, we got to stop and take notice. It's not Desert Swarm yet, but whatever they got going, it's cooking. Let them cook because they're doing a great job.
Washington State was apparently they have a couple wide receivers out that are injured, but still, what Arizona's doing and have been doing for this is the third year. Every year, they were getting more dangerous in the Pac-12. We've seen it. We've played them. But Jeff Fish is building that team up.
UCLA, Mark, has one of the better defenses in the country, so that's not surprising. UCLA's going to shut down a lot of teams.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Voice of College Football. Mark says UCLA shut down Ward 2, 3 interceptions under 200 yards. That's pretty impressive.
UCLA has one of the better defenses in the conference by far. I mean, remember Utah, UCLA, 14-7.
And
that was a disgusting game.
That worries me too. Dante's starting to hit his stride.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think things are going to get any better for Washington State next week as they go against a mad Oregon Donald Ducks team.
Is that at Mark Stadium or Austin?
That's in Austin. Yeah, that's why I'm like,
I do have to correct you real quick before I get to the super chat there, Jackson. Disney separated copyright registry for the duck about 10 years ago, so we're no longer the Donald Duck. We're just the Oregon Duck.
Disney Nazis.
Disney gave it away because they were tired of us. We were breaking too many rules for their liking, so they were like, "Screw it, you can have it."
Miami can have it.
Well, they're Oregon's the Donald Ducks in my eyes. So I like
And,
calling that.
Lemansky, gotta give a shout out. Lemansky's always here. Thank you for the super chat.
Drop
Yeah,
a
fellas,
birdie
three
bird.
parts to football. Tackle stats in the Big Ten. Number one, Higgins and Hawks. Both Jackson and Higgins top 5. Higgins has 80 plus and Eichenberg 47. Michigan tacklers way lower. Starting QB and top 2 tight end out here.
Well, when your
Yeah,
defense,
let me address that. Let me address that real quick. Michigan's tackles are going to be way lower when their starters are only playing 2.5 quarters every game in 7 games. Like, I don't even know why he threw that in there.
Yeah, Mike, you're going to have to give me a little clarity on this one as the you guys as the Big Ten people.
but Iowa's defense is always on the field, literally always on.
Yeah,
the
that's
field.
what. Yeah, same with Ohio State. They played, except for I think 2 games. Their starters have played pretty much the whole game in almost every game. But Western Kentucky this past week, and I'm probably missing one, but that's about it.
I mean, that's all valid points too, because the longer you play on the field, you're going to have more stats than people that sit by the second, third quarter. So, but Lemansky, obviously, there's always parts to football. That's why there's the offense, defense, special teams, so like that. Even there's 3 parts to football. But Lemansky, we love you. You know that. You're always here. We appreciate the super chat. Mark does too. Helps the channel a lot. So we appreciate it. What is has Brian Kelly helped himself after LSU blows out Auburn also this week? I mean, Auburn is not good.
They look better than Georgia doing it.
Well, they were expecting
that.
I mean, they were 11.5 point favorites, so I mean,
I guess the only positive you can make for Auburn, really, that I can think of, is that they gave Georgia everything they wanted.
Auburn's a team that just plays a lot better at home than on the road.
True.
Similar to Utah in that one.
Well, even though LSU is out of national title contention, but then again, you never know. They could play their way in it if they win out. Well,
I mean, you know what would be crazy is if LSU beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Do they still put Georgia in?
Yeah, honestly,
undefeated Georgia, probably.
If
no,
Georgia,
a 1-loss Georgia, a 12-1
1-loss Georgia.
If Georgia's
that's a good question. I think they would put Georgia in because of their status as the 2-time national champs.
Yeah,
but with LSU, they're still in. They're still competing for the division. So
I mean, it's always a losing battle. You know, asking these hypotheticals because you have to address what's going on around the country and all that. But I have a hard time thinking that a 2-loss non-SEC champion would get in.
The real
no 2-loss team period has ever got in, and 2017 Auburn was probably the closest had they beaten Georgia in the SEC championship game.
Yeah, and remember, the only reason they were considered was because they beat, I believe, 2 number 1 ranked teams.
Yeah, they beat Georgia and Alabama.
Georgia and Alabama back to back.
They were both ranked number 1.
Yeah. So
that's true, Mark. If the committee puts a team in based on what happened last year, then they should all be thrown out and replaced. Agreed.
I could totally see them putting Georgia in though, with 1 loss, and that I could totally see that happen. I actually wouldn't be surprised at all.
That was the question I was asking. Were you saying they beat undefeated Georgia or?
Yeah, Georgia would be 12-0 in the SEC championship game, and then LSU. Because some people are going to say, well, they played.
Then I think they probably. I mean, there's a decent chance they get in. I mean, that's happened before.
Yeah. So because then obviously, well, then some people are going to like derail. Are going to be like, well, then you got to put LSU in. But
the problem with the whole thing is if you don't win your conference, you should not play for the championship period. I've always been on that. I don't care if you're undefeated going to your conference championship game. If you don't win your conference, you should not be in the running to win the national championship period.
Yeah, tell it to Ohio State.
I understand that sentiment.
I understand that, but unfortunately, that's just not how it's formatted. But
Oh yeah, how's it formatted?
4 best teams.
What's the format?
4 best teams.
Is
If
Okay,
they feel
that's
a
not what they said.
non-conference champ is a better team than a team that won their conference, they're gonna put that team in.
That's what they did
Well,
with Ohio
the
State
thing
over
is,
Penn State.
the criteria has changed from
Yeah,
year to year. Some years they've said 4 best teams. Some years they've said 4 most deserving. The committee has literally.
Well, that's true.
changed their
That's true too.
criteria.
But
there is no format for how to get in.
that's true too. That is true too. But what I'm saying is, if the committee feels, and they've shown this, that a team that didn't win their conference is better than a team that did, they're gonna put that team in. Which I don't.
Hypothetically, if you have 2 entities, I don't know, let's call them just for fun, Fox and ESPN. The best way you can control who gets in is have a committee choose it, select a bunch of people, and make what we were just talking about, make the criteria very ambiguous. And that's exactly what we have in college football right now. We want to call it a playoff, but it's truly an invitational up to a committee that can be swayed. So all we're trying to make is, you can play the devil's advocate. Point I was making is I think it's absurd that if you don't win your own conference, that you try to call yourself the national champion. That's all. There you go. There's no formula.
Yeah, the 12-team playoff, thankfully, is going to be more strict about that. So,
well, by rule, you're going to have tons of teams in there that haven't won their conference because there aren't 12
but it's going to be more rewarding. I'm saying, for the teams that do, is what's nice about the 12-team playoff.
We'll see when that comes, because they shelved the talk again. Apparently, we had a comment here, and I don't want to miss out on this, because this is the hot topic. Everyone's here for it. Let's talk about Colorado. Let's do it. And that you did when?
We did it at the beginning of the show.
I don't think we did.
We talked about it before the show started. We talked
about it before the show.
Yeah, you got to pay attention fast when we're live. And
all right.
But you got to talk about Colorado, because
Stanford ruined seasons, man. They've done this for years. Stanford ruined seasons. They did it with us last year and Oregon the year before. And I can think of so many other examples of it happening.
Well, the first thing we need to do is take a roll call for how many people actually stayed up to watch the second half.
I did not.
I watched the whole game.
I'm on the West Coast. It wasn't that late.
Not the whole game.
I'll be honest, I didn't go back to watching the game until the middle of the fourth quarter. Honestly,
I went back to watching when I got a notification that Colorado or Stanford had scored 19 points straight, and then I tuned in and watched the rest of it.
That is the epitome of an epic collapse. I mean, and you gave up to a guy who had only caught like 1 catch in college. You gave up 13 for 294 yards, all in the second half.
I'll tell you who I was pretty happy for. Andrew Luck. He got to see a fantastic finish in person. And he was like the only Stanford representative there at the game. All the people there, right? Like Anthony Anderson and Cedric the Entertainer. I bet you they couldn't tell you a thing about Colorado football from 2008 or 2012. If you asked them right now, who was Colorado's head coach in 2008? They'd be like, I don't know. I bet you they're going to be bandwagoning to the Nets team next week. They're going to be, oh, hey, Michigan, what's up? We're at the Michigan football game. Nice uniforms.
It's weird because usually when I think of celebrities, I think of USC, because you always have Will Ferrell and Snoop Dogg and a number of them on the sidelines.
Now, Snoop Dogg is a true college football fan right there. I mean, he's a big USC fan.
No, what I like about him is he's actually a youth football guy.
Yeah.
And the reason why he actually for a couple of years his son was playing UCLA, so he became a UCLA fan for a while. Got to respect that. He's repping his kid. But the big thing with him is he's really into inner city youth football, and he follows these guys. That's why he's a college fan. He's actually a really great guy.
At least Snoop Dogg, I'll give him that. He's involved with sports and stuff like that, so that makes sense.
Well,
Mark, I can see Colorado losing the rest of their games, literally.
Mark,
I might put money on that. If there's a way I can
bandwagon,
put money on that, I
bandwagon
think they're
stuff
losing
kind
the
of.
rest.
Mark said I'm on it regarding the whole slave. Well, to tell you the truth, like the bandwagon fan just kind of irritates me as a whole. You know, people that bandwagon off of each team, it's just I don't like that.
Aren't you an Alabama fan?
I've always been a Bama fan. My whole life. The good days, bad days.
You know he's been Bama lifelong. I got you. I know you are.
Well, I'm not saying about him, but Alabama fans should know, who the school that
I get
irritated
with the bandwagon fans because, like, I could ask him something from 2005, and they couldn't even tell me who the coaches were.
If you weren't a fan at Alabama when anybody with my first name was there, you're not a real Bama fan.
True.
Yeah.
What if you're like 14?
True. Oh.
If you can literally remember and be a fan during the Shula and the Bo stays, okay, I'll give you.
If you could be a Michigan fan during Rich Rod and Hoke, then I mean,
well, we don't really have as many bandwagon because we haven't won a natty yet. But if we were to win a national championship, you're going to see a whole lot more Go Blues that you didn't see before.
Well, as DeMarc said here, yes, every team going forward now in the pack, and Notre Dame later, is going to know who this receiver is. And that man is going to be double covered. I think from here on out.
He is a specimen, though, man. Like, he's a big dude.
I know Travis Hunter knows who he is. That's for sure now. For sure.
Yeah. That catch in overtime.
That was that was brutal.
He mocked him.
Him and Ben are going to go at it for a game for sure.
But did you guys see that? Did you see that when they lost? Like it was crazy seeing all the Colorado fans crying, and you could tell the difference between the ones that had just hopped on the bandwagon and the ones that had been lifelong Colorado fans. Because like this is like not even like a top 20 worst Colorado loss in their school's history.
I think
especially the last like 20 years or so.
Yeah,
I think it is. I think it is.
I saw that where the girlfriend was consulting, telling her boyfriend everything's okay and all that. I saw that.
I was making fun of that guy. I was like, really, dude? Come on.
Well, how do you know he didn't put his tuition on the game, man?
I'd say unless he bet a lot of money on that game, he's crying because Colorado, you're losing it. You're sad because your team lost 3 games in your Colorado. You thought you were going to the playoffs? I mean, I don't know how that guy was so upset.
Yeah, I bet he put. I would almost want to put money on him putting money on the game.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder how they survived the one.
I personally think it's one of the worst losses because my definition of a bad loss is not the same as if you lose 60-something to 10 and you were the underdog already. To me, that's not as bad of a loss as if you were like Colorado, a 14-point favorite who was up 29-0 against arguably the worst FBS school, and you blow that game. To me, that's an all-time bad loss.
Now, Mr. Go Blue, do you think it's worse than the Georgia Tech Miami game?
It could. Well, I don't know because the way that ended, It could. You could make an argument. You can make the argument that it's worse. You could definitely make the argument because to me, if you're up 29-0 as a 2-touchdown favorite at half, and you let Stanford, who lost to an FCS school already this year, and you let them score, including overtime, 40-something points to win the game.
Wait, hold on. Did Michigan
that's pretty bad, man?
Did you just crack on somebody losing to an FCS school as a Michigan man?
Yes, I know. App State, man. I've heard this one a million times.
I was just checking. You're cracking on somebody for losing to FCS. I don't know. Just want to make sure.
Well, hold on. I'm not trying to get sidetracked. This is going to go into the whole thing. But the point is, Stanford is a horrible team this year, and you're up 29-0 at half. You're a 2-touchdown favorite, and you let them score including overtime, 40-some points. To me, that's an all-time bad loss.
That is a bad loss.
I take Miami. I
wouldn't argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you.
There's a difference between losing to a team and losing to blatant stupidity.
Yeah,
I can forgive.
I'm with you. I'm not going to argue.
I don't like
outplayed Colorado in that second half and won the game. It wasn't like we've seen teams like get complacent at halftime and give up leads. But Miami was they had the game won. Like the game was over, and just
I'm not going to argue with that
in that game. So
if you say Miami, I won't argue with you.
And in all due fairness to Stanford and their coach, his name is escaping my mind right now. Sacramento State was his old team, who was a really good FCS team last year. So that actually, I mean, it was sad to see him lose to an FCS team, but at the same time, I don't think it was a total shocker, knowing how bad Stanford was probably going to be this year. But I don't know. Yeah, either of those, I'll give those toss up. You can coin flip which one was worse.
Yeah, and I don't like Colorado anyways because I'm bitter about '94. Because I honestly I can't go honestly a whole season without seeing that stupid.
That was the Hail Mary game, right?
Yeah, that Corsdale Stewart pass is like, okay, can we put that back in the archive?
We got two other games to talk about too.
And that's true, Uncle Rico. There are bad losses and stupid losses. That is true. That is a thing.
They could be both.
Yeah, I'm okay with categorizing those losses as different. I mean, they're bad, but in two different ways.
That is true.
True.
Let's see.
This
I'm guessing this is Colorado. Is this Colorado's schedule?
Yes, this is the remaining schedule of Colorado's 2023 season.
I think they're all lost.
I think they lose in all those games. I agree with Tim. I think they lose in all those.
Yeah, I think it's funny they included the Pac-10 championship down at the bottom because we all know they ain't going to that.
Washington State might be the only win if Washington State doesn't get there.
But see, that's at Martin State. I would see that
in
too.
Pullman? No.
I think the possible win.
I was going to say Arizona is the most winnable because it's at home.
Correct. That's the reason I would give for it.
We can agree that we don't see a win at Rice Eccles because nobody wins at Rice Eccles Stadium.
You know what? I'm going to say Oregon. I hope Connor's not in the chat because I'm going to say Oregon State's probably the winnable one of that one.
Yeah, Connor's on the chat.
No, I don't think so. Here's the thing.
Oregon State's defense is not impressive.
No. Oregon State's run game is solid. It is with the Damian Martinez and that offensive line. They're gonna run the ball for 250, 300 yards on Colorado and just suffocate them. That's what they're gonna do.
I mean, DJ's been pretty efficient this year. I don't think it would be a.
I don't see that one.
I think we're on record as all 5 of these are losses. But if you had to pick one, I would say Oregon State would probably be more competitive than Arizona. That'd be my guess. But I think we're all in agreement that all 5 are losses.
Ben, you should have pulled up USC schedule when we was talking about USC, man.
Well,
go ahead. Let's do it.
You can pull up Oregon's too, and we're gonna be like, yeah. I mean, we never know.
I think Oregon in any of these
games. We don't know what happens in any of these games. We're going to talk about Oregon. Trust me, I'm not leaving them off the list here. We're just talking about this, and we already talked about Colorado State, Boise State, and that was going to be kind of the comebacks. But Colorado, Stanford, by far was the most egregious comeback by far. And really quickly, Lemansky again with a super chat. Thank you very much, Lemansky. Appreciate it, of course. And the Washington Husky OC is an Iowa native. Has been alongside DeBoer for years. The new AD has a history with the University of Northern Iowa and respect defense. Hey, DeBoer was a great hire when Washington got him last year. I think we were like, that's a good get. And him to bring his OC with him made even more sense. And you're seeing the rewards last year and this year. So I wonder what maybe Iowa should have picked up DeBoer for an OC job or something.
Yeah. They definitely should have when they had
lost
the chance.
that battle.
He definitely ain't going to be an OC now. That's for sure. Washington will do anything to keep him right now.
And for them to do that with a former Indiana quarterback. Whew.
Well, it'll be a cinch keeping DeBoer, especially with the Big Ten money coming in a year from now.
Well, and even at the discount rate, yeah, Washington's going to put out to keep him, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I don't blame them. They need to. They should.
Are we ready to talk about the two biggest games of the year that we haven't hit yet?
Are you done complaining, Spaz?
Aren't we done talking about? Are we starting talking about that now?
That's
Yeah,
what I thought we were.
We can go right into that because we had it. We already did the ugly. So the other matchups were, of course, the pain of watching a field goal miss to tie up the game against Washington.
Take
Oregon
the
goes
points when you have it. Don't go for fourth down every time.
Hold on. We're going to defend that, but yes, it was painful to watch that. It was painful to watch that happen again, kind of similar fashion.
There's calculated risk, and then there's addictive gambling.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, was that fourth and 3 play call a Brandon Staley type play call?
I don't know what the hell that was, but whatever Will Stein was calling, if he calls another play like that, I'm going to go down on the sideline and slap him.
I'd have preferred that they had literally just ran the ball. To be honest, just run it 4 times straight over the middle. I would have preferred that.
You weren't running the middle on there on Washington's defense. You were getting the edges. You should have rolled Bo out, rolled him out to the right. Play action. If nobody's open instantly, Bo cuts the corner and gains you probably 3 yards.
No, you should have punted. Is what you should have done.
It wasn't that great yesterday. It wasn't. It was okay, but the problem was we were trying to run the gut too much. When we got out on the edges, we were getting some movement from our line, and we were getting there. When we were running up the gut, their front four was just dominating.
Bucky Irving was
I would have punted because the Oregon's defense was doing pretty well in the second half. I would have trusted the defense, punted the ball, tried to put them beat.
The same thing with that is, no matter what, I think Lanning said they knew they were going to score, so he trusted the defense and he trusted the offense. He's an aggressive play caller. He stuck by it. He owned it. He's like, hey, it's all on me. He's not putting blame on anyone or the play calling or anything. He's like, that's on me. And I'm like, well, that's what a coach is supposed to do.
Didn't he do something similar last year, Ben, against Oregon State? That kind of sparked their comeback.
Yeah.
No, that was he did. Well, mostly he did against Washington.
Also against Oregon
last year.
Yes.
So I mean, it's just like Pete Carroll in the championship game. Everyone said, "Oh, should have punted, right?" On that fourth down, they went for it. They stopped them. They went and scored. It's Monday morning quarterbacking. They make it great call. You make it bad call. It's easy for us to say after the fact. I am not a Dan Lanning fan whatsoever. I agree with what you just said, Ben. They weren't going to stop that Penix's offense. They weren't. So why not try to win it with your team?
They were though. That's the thing. They were though. In the second half, they were stopping their offense.
But it was only a matter of time, especially that last.
But your defense was playing good in the second half. It's just a fact.
Even without the two red zone stops, we got one red zone stop on Washington on fourth down too. But the point is, if he'd gotten 3 yards, game was over. We win.
And
so
then they score on 2 plays.
It was a genius call. He didn't. So now everyone's like, "Oh, it was a bad call."
Ben, they score on 2 plays, Ben. It wasn't like they were stopping him, so that goes out the window. Didn't they have the two? Like that.
2 plays. 2 plays. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what Lanning is looking at is this team is explosive. I mean, even the McMillan was out. You got Polk and you have Odunze. Dude, those are even without they did all that without McMillan. Who's also awesome as sub. You can't stop that offense. So their best shot is you've got a decent offense, right? You've got 2 good backs ready for north of 5 yards to carry in the game. Give them the ball, try to pick the first down, salt the game away. I think that's the way to do it.
Also,
you're also here's the problem with that. You're also assuming when Washington gets the ball back that they're going to score in 2 plays. What if they get the ball back and they didn't score in 2 plays and they kill most of the clock? This is the problem with this.
One of the key things, and maybe people don't remember too, is both of our corners went down in 1 play.
Yeah.
Both starting corners went down in 1 play. And the other one was dinged up and one didn't come back. So we were on backups also. And Lanning went, okay, they're doing okay, but they can only hold up for so long.
Right.
So that was it was also part of the judgment call.
Right then and there. The call sheet, whatever. I mean, they have a long call sheet of situational, stuff. 10 times out of 10, you go for it there.
Whatever they called, I don't like the play call. I didn't like the play call.
You can have an issue with the call they played, but even then, that can be. Sometimes you don't really know what goes into why a play wasn't successful. Sometimes it was the correct play call given the look they had, and someone whiffs a block or something like that, and then all of a sudden the play is ruined. But the offensive coordinator looked.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Washington scored early in the third quarter and then didn't score until that very last touchdown.
Did you miss the part where both corners are out?
I hear what you're saying. I understand that.
Okay, because that's crucial.
We had true freshman corners for the fourth quarter, and
when did they come in the game? Let me ask you that.
Right before that, and that's why you put it on your. That's why you put it on your offense to assault the game away, because if you do it and make it, it's a great call. Game over. Nobody's talking about this. If you miss it, you've still got a shot. Look at they scored in two plays. How much time was still left? If we would have punted right there and they get the ball, say at the 10-yard line with 2 minutes or just under 2 minutes left, they go the field. How much time are you getting the ball back if they have to go 90 yards?
You're also assuming,
how much time are you getting the ball back if they go 90 yards and score a touchdown on you versus if they go 50 yards in 2 plays?
You're also assuming that you're also assuming that when they got the ball back that they would have scored.
Done.
Well, you have to assume against
you're also
that type
assuming though that they would have scored in 2 plays. You didn't know that at the time that if Washington got the ball back that they would have scored in 2 plays. What if they got the ball back and they salted most of that time away and then scored? You don't know that.
Yeah, but
you have to make a judgment
more of them taking 90 yards to score and using
hang on. The logic in that is not that you're going to end up not getting the first down. Okay. What you're doing is you're making a judgment call. What are the odds of my defense against those receivers and that quarterback being able to stop them on any number of downs? I can't do that. I need to win this game with my offense right now and get a first down. That's the issue at hand.
Exactly.
Ben, let me ask you, when did the corners go out of the game? Because I didn't see.
They went out, I believe it was very end of the third quarter.
So this goes back to my point. They were stopping that. They did not score until the last drive of the game. That means these so-called freshman corners.
Again, they were only going to hold up maybe they could only hold up for so long. But even then, if you look at the game here, Oregon still got the ball back, moved right down the field until the tight end got hurt, and they had to stop the offensive momentum. And was in range for the field goal. The field goal kicker barely missed it. For some reason, they rushed the field goal. That was the only mistake that I had a problem with. For some reason, they rushed the field goal. He missed it by like 3 feet, like 1 yard maybe off to the left or whatever. But it was in his range because he'd already hit a 46-yarder. That was the problem. And I don't know why they rushed that play. They should have taken the timeout. They had one, and they didn't. That was the worst, most egregious call that I have a problem with. But I want to touch upon this too before it gets too heated here. I have too many things to start. Oh my God, I apologize. Erica too. Erica came in earlier, so I apologize, Erica. College football is NFL light, all about the Benjamins. Well, yes, that it is. That it definitely is. It always has been, but even more so now with players getting money. It definitely is. That is not even an understatement. And Sean Garner with a nice $5 super chat here. Thank you. Yeah, Lanning, 100% right to go for it in both spots. Criticism purely results oriented. He's a genius of work. That's the point. Had he gotten the 4th down conversion at the end of the game assaulted to win by 3 or 4 points, everyone would have been like, amazing. Gutsy call. Way to go. Way to put it away. But he didn't. We ended up losing, barely missing the field goal to tie to go to overtime. And now it's like, oh, what a terrible play call. All of it's hindsight.
Will Ben? So the first one was for a field goal or go for it? Is that correct?
I think you gotta do the field goal. I mean, I'm fine with going for
That's
it
my
at the end
point.
there, but you gotta get the guaranteed points.
Yeah, I mean, and still at the end of the game, I don't know if that would have done anything, because I was wondering for a while when would Washington
Take
start
the point.
chasing that 2-point conversion, and they chased it quick and they got it barely on their end. But then and at the same time, I'm kind of like, I wish he had taken one of the field goals. But what would have that done later in the game to change play calling for Washington? We don't know. So again, it's all kind of hindsight.
Well,
you know?
it would have been a touchdown lead instead of just a 4-point lead.
Well, no, because Washington might have changed their game planning to have to make up more points.
Yeah, you don't
That's
know.
the point. I mean, it's hindsight.
Yeah.
It's hindsight.
You don't know how to
That's all it would have done. If it had 1 point game.
Yeah, we don't know how it would have gone. So I do wish he had taken one of the field goals, especially right before half. I kind of wish he had taken that one, honestly. But I don't have a problem with the calls because he's an aggressive play caller. He likes to go for it. That's what he said. He wants to win. And he acts like it and calls it like that. He doesn't just talk a big game and then not back it up.
And unlike a lot of coaches in college and the NFL, he went in and stated at the end of this game was all on him, 100% all on him. He made some decisions, and he had to live with it, and he had to deal with his team after the game. Then his team, including Bo, came out and gave a 3-minute speech that just. And then it was a mic drop at the end. You know, he's like, we believe in our coaches. We believe in this coach. We believe in this team. And our journey's not over just because of this one loss. Would we have liked to have won it? Absolutely. But the journey's not over. The journey's just beginning. And
I did gain respect for Dan Lanning for that. Like, a lot of coaches just wouldn't do that. Like, especially Shane Beamer, man. Like, Shane Beamer never.
Brian Kelly.
Hot dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mark made
Chain
a comment.
gang, hot dogs, yeah.
Mark made a comment and said Lanning took accountability, unlike Cristobal. That is so true. Because when Cristobal screwed up last week, it's like we as a team need to do better. No,
we teach to keep
you as a leader need to do better.
Like what? Yeah, I totally agree. And Cristobal's mistake was a legitimate like coaching blunder. Like Lanning was a judgment call that didn't go his way. Like that's.
Well, that's we're not in the same kind of conversation, right? And it's not.
Right.
It's just not.
Well, that's the thing. Like the other comment too is like, it's a good loss. It is. I'd say if you're going to lose a game where you're going 7 versus 8 on the road, lose by 3 at the very end like that. That's a good loss. If you want to say good loss, I mean, all losses are bad. Losses are losses. You can't, incorporate those. But if you had to lose one, let that one be it, and then don't do it again.
If Oregon runs the table right now, this is a game that was in Husky Stadium, which is a really difficult place to play. If you're going to lose a game, you lose there. The way you lost it, you went out. You're probably going to play Washington again or possibly USC or whatever, right? You're going to have a second opportunity to pad it. If Oregon wins out and goes, like 12-1, they're in. Period. They'll be in. And not only it was who you lost to, but the way you lost on the road at Husky Stadium. You have SC coming to Autzen, and then you have Oregon State also for Civil War coming to Autzen. Yep. So, I mean, your guys' schedule looks pretty clean. You got the Bears and Arizona State. We've seen Washington's been exposed. You guys got a really good run. And it was early on, we were worried about that Ute game. But once we realized that Cam Rising isn't coming back, if he does come back, he's just not going to be Cam Rising. It's gonna be an easy win run for you guys. I really do think you guys run this out, and then face either USC or Washington in the
Well, luckily for Oregon after this year, Oregon's not going to have to worry about going to Arizona in any capacity, as we know of. But, I mean, I know Arizona State's kind of a disaster, but it's kind of a trap zone.
No, I'm not buying that.
Oregon has a bad history going in the state of Arizona, though.
Not this Oregon team, though.
Well, or even USC and Oregon don't have to worry about going to Utah for a while. Anyways,
but what's really catching Yeah, but what's really catching my eye is that you guys got to go to Rice Eccles on October 28th.
Without
That's-
Cam Rising, that's not an issue.
Without Cam Rising, I ain't worried.
Yeah. If he's not playing, I'm not even worried about that game almost anymore. If he was playing, I'd be really worried.
He'll be on the sidelines in the blue tent.
There's a chance that they shut out that offense.
Yeah,
So,
Utah's offense without Cam Rising is horrible.
Yeah.
What about Oregon State?
I wanted to-
That could be.
Yeah, Oregon State's not an easy peasy game. I mean, they could be playing spoiler for you guys on Black Friday.
Yeah, USC and Oregon State are the two teams because they're totally different. Well, it's different offense, totally different style of offenses. Those are the ones that were like, ooh, okay, because Washington State hasn't been showing anything. Those are the two now. It's kind of like, those are the really concerning games.
Well, they're both at Autzen, though.
Luckily,
Yeah.
that's huge plus. I mean,
Yeah.
to say the least, but still.
And I wanted to address this comment by Mark because I think it's pretty. I think it's a pretty good point. I think we have to appreciate that both teams, delivered. So often we get these top 10 matchups, and maybe one team is a little bit artificially propped up or ranked. Maybe they played a pretty weak schedule, and they really haven't been tested and all that. But it really felt like these were two top 10 teams, and I think Washington was favored by 3. They won by 3. I mean, the game was played to expectation, and so I don't think Oregon should be like dinged for the. I know losses are losses, but Oregon is absolutely a top 10 team, I think, based on.
And they actually weren't dinged that much actually either by the AP, which actually showed that people watched that game and saw like, wow, okay, either team could beat each other maybe on any given day. It would be like 50-50 if they played 10 times. So I do want to touch this though. Lemansky with a salute to Sean Garner comment. I guess that was the super chat. Lemansky, as usual, is always in here. I just don't want to forget about these. And hey, Tim, here's some praise coming your way, too. Thank you, one Lemansky. But back-to-back Big Ten champs, Michigan man here. Tim Prangley, I'm usually quick to play the USC defense, but they played well against Notre Dame, 250 total yards. The losses are the O-line from what they saw.
you're totally right. That's exactly where the blame was.
Hey, look, Tim, Michigan man's paying your lunch money now.
Hey, that ain't me, man. Hold
Now,
on.
that's
different Michigan man.
That's
That's a different Michigan man. But
Now you can get one of those hot dogs with peppers outside the stadium.
Hot diggity dog.
No, thank you. I'm not. No, thank you. Hold the E. coli, please. No, thank you. I'm not. I'm not. I've never eaten one of those things. I never will eat one of those things.
I don't know why I highlighted this comment earlier, and I just wanted to bring it up. Thank you. But everyone, of course, super chats always greatly appreciated, and I have to agree with that comment there, though. Yeah, it wasn't the USC defense.
Yeah, this defense is not going to win any games for USC. They just have to get better and play well. And it's more than capable. They have the talent to do it. Let's just see if they can actually do it.
I had this one highlighted. I wanted to bring it up, but I don't think Connor's in the chat anymore. Connor, are you still in the chat? If you're in the chat, Connor, I haven't seen you for a while. And Connor, I think we proved earlier why this show is not a call-in show. This thing would go off the rails.
I'm too abusive to the callers if they called in.
This thing would go off the rails.
Mark would pull the show. Mark would pull the show if I let me get the hands of some of these guys in the chat.
We would never accomplish anything, and I don't even know if we accomplished a whole lot here anyways, but definitely nothing would get done at that point. The resident Beaver, Connor. The only other game I had other matchups notable were the Beavers, though. Thinking of Connor taking down UCLA in a ranked matchup of 36-24.
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice that this is the 4th straight time that UCLA has lost in a ranked versus ranked matchup.
Yeah, they haven't been very lucky in these types of games so far, and Dante Moore didn't play very well. Oregon State's defense, they haven't been like dominating this year, but they've been really good. They've forced a lot of turnovers, and the offense is pretty efficient. They're running the ball extremely well, and DJ's playing the best football of his career. So it's that's a good football team.
And it's at Reser, Pete, right? Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying it's at Reser. I don't. The environment's up in the Pacific Northwest, right? And again, also at Rice Eccles. I'll put them up there. Anyway, sure, they're not 100,000 people, but they're some of the louder stadiums in the country, without a doubt. So going up to Reser and winning is a tough ask for a lot of schools. And UCLA is not there yet. Let's give Dante Moore another year. This defense is pretty good. So the fact that DJ had that game is definitely a feather in his cap, Jordan. I mean, they are a good defense, and for him to play it as well as he did, it's a testament to the offensive line and DJ.
Well, they needed some redemption because that Oregon State defense looked pathetic against Cal.
They weren't very good against UCLA's run yesterday neither. They gave up 264 yards on the ground.
No, I was talking about the offense, you guys. I'm not talking about the defense. I got off the defensive train a long time ago. Connor and those guys tried to suck me into that. And I was on it. I was thinking, if you remember early in the season, they sucked me in, and I believed it for a while. But I've been off that for about 3 games now.
They looked bad against Cal, and I said they didn't look very good against their rush from UCLA yesterday neither.
Well, I thought Oregon State's calling card for going into the season was going to be their defense.
It was supposed to be, but their rush defense has not been the greatest. Their pass defense, their secondary is great. Their corners are great, but their defensive line just gets shredded every game.
Their O-line.
Calm down, Connor.
Calm down. Oregon State credit. I just went on
down, Connor. Calm down.
30 seconds.
Calm down, Connor. We're just saying.
Oregon State's offensive line is pretty good as well.
Yeah, their O-line is great.
Oregon State's, they're a good football team. They're playing good football. I mean, the defense is just not. They were just saying the defense has not, and I even said the defense hasn't been up to what we expected. But they've made up for it because they have a downfield passing game now, and they run the ball extremely well. The play action game for them has been pretty deadly. We put those two things together, and all of a sudden, Oregon State's a much more complete team, even if the defense isn't, as good as it was last year.
Yeah, it's a bend but break not defense. They've been giving up yardage and whatnot, but they're not giving up. They're not giving up the super big plays. I mean, Dante got 3 picks yesterday. That's 6 in 2 weeks. 2 pick sixes back-to-back weeks. So their defense is doing really well, but their run defense has got to get better against these Washington and Oregon and Utah, or else they're going to have more than one loss.
He gave a pick 6 in this game too?
Yes.
Well, that's back-to-back weeks of the pick 6, I believe. Then
is that 3?
Yeah, Utah.
I think
Utah,
it is.
Oregon State,
and Washington State.
Let me double check that. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I know they got
Washington State. Can't remember.
But yeah, I mean, freshman mistakes. I told Chris this. Look, this kid is the real deal. He's got one of the prettier long balls I've seen. Period. And he is a legitimate star, true freshman. It's hard to ask any true freshman to come in and start like that. But Chip Kelly is gonna build this offense around him. It's good to have that centerpiece. They lost DTR. That was a lot of firepower for them, but replacing with more, they're going to take a step back. But next year, I can definitely see them building this team around him. They've got a great receiver.
That's all I got to say.
Oh, no, you're not still hurt, are you? Really, Spaz? You still hurt? You're not hurt.
And then he took Dante after he committed. Yeah, I'm a little irritated still.
Hey, listen, I'm a USC fan. You guys are dropping bags that they're taking our offensive linemen, so I'm gonna have no sympathy for you whatsoever. None. Zero sympathy.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Was there any other notable games that you guys saw this week? Or this weekend, rather? That you
Somebody
guys
mentioned
kinda,
the Florida State game. Did we talk about that?
Yeah,
No, I
mean,
kind of skipped over it, but it was on my list.
Did
Jordan
you talk about
vetoed
the
that
it's
Michigan
not
State?
that,
Did you talk about the
it's
Michigan
not
State
that
Rutgers
notable,
game?
but
Well, I mean, like Bama, Arkansas. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
Alabama.
we did forget
Jeez.
Bama, Arkansas.
Yeah, Bama almost messed around and found
Almost
out.
choked that game away.
Yeah, we looked sloppy in the second half. It was not good.
Well, it's the fourth quarter, really.
Yeah, well, it's a reversal because you've been starting crappy, and then this week you guys started good, and then just went downhill. It was like now it's reversed. Is the psychology from Saban getting brainwashed backwards into those kids' heads down there?
Yeah, I mean, it was holy cow.
18 yards in the second half after he threw for like 170 in the first half. I was like, ugh.
yeah, I think Bama fans are at the, they're at the point where it's like, okay, it's going to be a roller coaster with Milroe, but I think he gives them their best chance to win, and the defense is still really, really good, and they're coming into their own. So when you have that, it'll give this offense time to figure stuff out.
I just sort of like me cannot figure out in this day and age, and it being Alabama, that they just didn't get a quarterback in the offseason. That blows my mind. But I guess not having the OC in place. So you get to get the OC in place and then bring in your guy. He's going to have to believe in that to come in there.
Well, they
So,
did get a quarterback.
Well, they poached Will's guy.
Okay, sorry, a quality quarterback. Should I
For me, the best play
Will,
of
did they
the
get a quarterback,
Arkansas, the best play of that Bama Arkansas game was that 2nd and 10 from KJ Jefferson. Like, I hate it as a Bama fan, but as a college football
KJ
fan,
needs to transfer. I want KJ to transfer to a good team next year.
Oh, he'd be a problem for a team that's only need a quarterback.
like, I'm so sad for what's going on over with Sam Pittman and all of it. Like, I'm happy Bama won. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just kind of like, you're now 2-5. Something's got to give at Razorback Nation.
I mean, they've been pretty unlucky too. I mean, they've lost some close games, but
they're playing well.
Well, I mean,
yeah, they are not as bad as 2-5 would suggest they are. But yeah, they've got some issues for sure.
I mean, I don't know how much you think about moral
gotta,
victories, but losing by a field goal in Tuscaloosa is not exactly a shameful outing.
Right.
Well, because it was like they didn't have Rocket Sanders for yesterday's game, so it's like you said, Jordan. The injuries have been hurting them quite a lot.
This team is reminding me straight up of that Nebraska team, that 3-9 Nebraska team.
Yeah.
But I will say, I do wish the Razorbacks nothing but awesomeness against Mississippi State next Saturday. And
I think
that should be a win.
That's a must win for them.
Yeah, Mississippi State's got some troubles of their own. But did anybody on here watch Ohio State?
Back, they should win by like 2 scores.
Did anybody on here watch a little bit of Ohio State Purdue?
I watched a little of it.
I peacocked for about maybe 5 minutes, and that was it.
No, thy enemy, but I mean, Purdue is a shell of themselves. I mean, Ohio State did exactly what I thought they would.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I heard people talking about how Purdue is like a scary place. Well, definitely with Jeff Brom.
Purdue is a good atmosphere.
There's no Rondale Moore on that Purdue.
Yeah,
true.
And
the fact that
roster, it's hard to say.
Well, and the fact they're in like they're in a rebuilding year. So it's just kind of like, they're not going to be making any noise on the Buckeyes. That's just not happening.
Here's what I'll say is Dallin Hayden, I think, should get more playing time for Ohio State. Whether he will or not, I'm not sure. They need to show that they can run like that on teams that actually have a competent run defense. It is good to see that before they play Penn State, something they probably needed to see before they played Penn State, considering how it's looked the past pretty much the whole year. They are dealing with a lot of injuries, though. Denzel Burke went out the game with an injury. Travion and Mine Williams couldn't play this week. I don't know what's going on with Ohio State the past couple of years when it comes to the injury, but
And Henderson's been hurt most of the year as well.
Yeah, Mark says Mark's got a great point. Purdue has a better record versus Ohio State at home than anyone in the Big Ten this century, including Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, whoever.
What does that mean?
That's a
3
hell of a
wins?
battle.
I guess that means 3 wins.
It's probably. I'd have to go back. I mean, how many times has Purdue? I mean, 18.
The past 23
Well, it's
23
definitely
years.
from the Joe Teller era and the Jeff Brom era.
Well, that goes
It
back.
has to. The early 2000s have to be doing a lot of.
Yeah, I know Drew Brees had that famous last-second touchdown against the Buckeyes to clinch the Rose Bowl berth for the Boilers.
Yeah, I think that's that. I'm thinking of that, and I can't think of another one.
I know they won another time too. I think they won 3 times.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'd have to go back and look, but
yeah,
I think it was 2004.
2000, 2004, 2009, 11, and 18.
Yep.
You guys got your,
I was right on.
That makes sense. I forgot.
I was
about the
right on
09
04.
That's what I was thinking of, the 09 one. 04,
Yeah,
Ohio State was down, and the 2011.
I
they were
remember that was on. Yeah, the 09 one was on the Big Ten Network. I watched a little bit of that game.
you know, anytime I should just assume there was a loss. Whenever we're talking about teams beating Ohio State, I got to assume one of those wins came in 2011 because, good God, that team was a disaster.
Yeah,
I know.
2004 were like disasters by Ohio State standards.
Hey, I'm gonna say
2009 is funny because Notre Dame beat Purdue at Purdue that year, and they weren't good.
That was on
that team underachieved really bad.
Do you guys have your picks for Ohio State, Penn State yet?
No, I'm not ready to make my pick yet.
Yeah, let's see who's able to play in that game. Then I'll make my choice.
Yeah,
I already got my
I would
pick.
say give me until Thursday on that. I'll have more of an answer for you on that.
Yeah, I got Penn State.
I'm shocked. I'm truly shocked that you have Penn State.
You're a brave man,
Well,
my
I
friend.
mean, look, man, it's actually. I just think Penn State's the better team this year, and I don't even think that's far fetched to say.
I don't think it's far-fetched. You could be right. But
I'm going to bring up an honorable mention, even though that matchup of Big Ten East versus Big Ten West didn't work out for West. Illinois pulled off a hell of an upset going into Maryland and knocking off the Terrapins. So heads up to the Fighting Illinois.
I just think that it's at home. I mean, if it was at Beaver Stadium, then maybe I'm going different. But unless there's a lot of guys hurt, I think it's gonna be Ohio State.
There is a lot of guys hurt too, though.
Are they out? But do we know if they're out? I mean, do we know?
We don't. We don't. But we know the health of the team isn't good right now. I mean, Denzel, they could play. We don't know, but the fact that there's even questions is a factor. Mecca Ibuka, I did hear, might not play. Their best corner left the game with an injury. Both their running backs couldn't play this past weekend. But even if all those guys were there, I'd still pick Penn State. And I understand it's at Ohio State. I just think Penn State is just a better all-around team this year. They've just played better football this year, period.
I don't know, man. I can't trust James Franklin to win a big game. So I'm just going to fade him until he does it.
I mean, that's a factor. Don't get me wrong.
Utah, but Utah was injured.
The James Franklin thing is a valid point.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a James Franklin team that I thought actually had a gap in terms of them actually being better than Ohio State.
They beat
maybe 2017, but even then,
I'm thinking 2017.
Yeah, maybe 2017, but even then, I don't think it's as much of it is now.
Was it 17 or 16?
I thought it was 16, wasn't it?
Yeah,
They
16
won
was the
in
year
16. They won in 16. I'm talking about going into a game and thinking that there's a gap between the teams. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And they weren't expected to win the game in 2016. I mean, they just got beat by they lost 2 games up to that point before beating Ohio State that year.
Yeah,
and then they lost to Helton.
That is
and
true.
Ohio State made the college football playoff. Well, I mean, that didn't end well.
Is there any other games this next weekend? Obviously, Oregon, we're just going to host Washington State. Washington State was going to be something bigger, but they're kind of a train wreck right now. So,
Well, we got
What does anybody even have a clue what has happened up there? Because they were like, they started out so well.
The defense is just horrible.
Their offense ain't much better the last 2 weeks.
A couple wide receiver injuries too.
Okay, that kind of makes sense then. Because I'm sitting there looking at Cam Ward's numbers the last 2 weeks going, what the hell happened here?
Well, and plus Washington State, obviously Washington State doesn't have much of a running game. So, I mean, that's a giveaway right there.
I will definitely be watching Clemson and Miami.
UCLA and Oregon are about the only 2 teams that have a running game in the Pac-12 this year.
The defense has gotten better. Hold on, the defense has gotten better because, like we've been talking about, UCLA's defense is solid. So is Cam Morgan struggle probably against that defense? A really good pass rush and decent secondary. And then the Wildcats, we just talked about earlier, they've been messing with quarterbacks the last 3 weeks in a row. 3 of the better quarterbacks in the conference have had trouble against him. So that's probably a reason why.
Yeah, it's not near as big of a game as it was going to be until Washington State started just like falling off the face of the earth offensively.
And it's at home.
The Fighting Clemsons. Who are you guys on now off your bye week?
On the road at Miami.
Oh my!
That'll be fun.
Ow!
I think Clemson opened as a 3-point favorite, which I think is about right considering how both offenses have played so far. I think the over/under is like 49 or something like that. So that's gonna be interesting because then what Miami team shows up, what Clemson team shows up, I really don't know. I think defensively, I think Clemson is going to be up for the challenge, but the offense has been a Jekyll and Hyde all season. So I mean, is the Wake Forest offense going to show up, or is the Florida the first half of Florida State really offense shows up? I don't know. It really depends. Clemson's we should be getting some key guys back. Antonio Williams, I think will play against Miami. He's one of Clemson's better receivers. I think they need to take some steps forward because they were not very good running the ball against Wake, even though the numbers look good. They ran for like only 40 yards in the first half, and that's not a particularly good Wake Forest defense. They just got dominated by Virginia Tech on yesterday. So it's going to be a weird one. And Miami's obviously coming off of a disappointing loss as well. So I don't know. I think that's going to be a weird game. I think
if Miami wants to have any chance of winning this game, TBD needs to be under 2 picks.
The turnovers. Yeah, TBD's turnovers have been pretty bad, and that you can't go into the game banking on that. But it's good that he's put on 2 weeks of bad film for this. Clemson coming off of a 5 week, for the defense to kind of study. So. He's been a pretty one-read guy, and he's kind of been staring down his receivers. So, but Cade is just as capable of making poor decisions with the football. So it wouldn't surprise me if both teams had like 6 turnovers combined. It really wouldn't if you showed me the box score the next day. But his turnovers have been killer for the Clemson team this year.
And I apologize too. I didn't really look at the schedule next week much. Tim, USC, what is your guys' schedule?
Got the Utes at home. Again, a different animal at home. No Rising.
Hold
No
that up. Hold
Keefe.
that up.
Ooh. Is Rising already out, Tim?
I don't know. I don't expect him to play. I mean, who knows, right? College football, you don't know. It's gamemanship, but I just think from what we've heard, I don't think that he's going to play. So,
Yeah, I don't either. Because this guy was on here earlier, Felipe, saying that he heard Rising was out, and I'm like, well,
I think he's done for the year. I think Felipe actually said he was done for the year. I don't know for a fact he's done for the year, but I don't expect him to play. Who knows? You never know in college football. You might roll out there. They've got a great defense. They have a really good
pull up
defense.
their schedule, man.
This guy is such a boner for USC. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
I just want to see the schedule, man.
It's almost eerie, dude. You're not even a Duck fan or like a Ute or an Irish fan. You're like a Michigan fan. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
This is coming from an analyst perspective, man. I'm just trying to see.
Oh, got you. We're gonna objectively analyze it, huh, Michigan man?
Yeah, of course, man. That's what I do.
I have to say though, I don't. If Rising doesn't show up this game, he's done for the season. He's not going to play.
yeah, I can't
There's
see
absolutely
either.
no point.
Yeah, I don't. I think he's done. I mean, his knee. He's got an NFL future. Why is he? They're not going to win the Pac-12. As soon as I think they were kind of looking at, okay, do we have a chance with the Pac-12? They kind of do. I mean, I guess I'll tell you what though. You guys are playing. You guys are playing in Rice Eccles, right?
Yeah, they're still in the mix. I mean, they aren't.
They are. By hook or by crook, they are. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
They're not
out, but they're going to get smoked to get in the Coliseum.
I don't know about that. I don't think we score very much on them, but I'm putting my faith in Caleb.
Hey,
I mean, it's bad. That right side of that line. See, what's happening in USC's schedule is every game we're seeing better and better defenses, right? And
your O line, yeah, you said.
And I mean, it's just a right side of the line, and there's still some. I mean, our center, who was an awesome guard actually, but they slid him over as his first year. He is originally a center, but he hasn't played center in the 5 years he's been at USC. But now they moved him over there, and just it's the line calls don't look right. If you watch that game, there's so many missed assignments on that right side, and just poor snapping. I mean, it's just been bad. I think that the Utes are absolutely give USC fits, the offense fits. So I don't think we smash anything.
Hey, Tim, be honest, man. You guys play Washington, Oregon, UCLA, Utah. You don't think all four of those are losable games?
Utah's not.
Are they losable? Those are all losable games.
So why can't you go?
The odds are that we're going to lose. Is it the odd? But the odds of us losing all those games, I don't think we're losing. You're doing too much hype off of this last game. USC truly crapped the bed in that game. That's not who USC is. That's USC.
It's not just the last game, though. It's the last 4 weeks. It's not just this last game. It's the last 4 weeks.
It's the Pac-12.
It has been the last 4 weeks. You're incorrect on the last 4 weeks.
ASU, Colorado, Arizona, and Notre Dame.
What was ASU score?
The fact that that was even competitive for 3 quarters. The fact that was even competitive for 3 quarters is all I got to say.
Ben, don't bail him out. What was the score of the ASU game?
I was 40-some to 28.
42, I think.
Yeah, but it was competitive for 3.5 quarters. It was a competitive game versus a terrible ASU team for 3.5 quarters. That's my point.
Oh, okay. That's your point. They won by how many points?
That's my whole point. Okay,
yeah.
so now you want to do what's called scoreboard watching.
You're boring,
you can't actually argue. You can't actually argue the way the game was played. So you want to just look at the final score instead of looking at how the game was actually played out. And we actually look how the game was played out. They struggled for 3.5 quarters. They struggled versus Arizona. They were down 17-0. They allowed Colorado to come back and score 40-some points. They got whooped by Notre Dame. And you don't think it's an objective.
So anyway, go ahead, Ben. What are we doing next?
Yeah, timer ran up. Hey, we have our own trolls here. Sergeant Pickles. We'll see you in the championship game, hopefully.
Congrats on your win, Pickles.
But yes, congratulations. That was a hard-fought game. Congratulations to the Huskies.
Yes, Sergeant Pickles, you got us. But I guarantee revenge is even sweeter when it's served in Las Vegas.
That hurt to say. Oh, shit. And Joey.
Joey.
How have you only been a member? Well, I guess it's only been available for 4 months. I was like, how have you only been a member for 4 months? And
Well,
then,
Wet
we
blanket.
talked about your failure earlier, Joey. You weren't here.
I don't know who
Yeah.
got gifted. I don't know who got
You just
gifted
sat
a
and laughed at
membership.
what-
Wet blanket is officially a new member of the Voice College Football.
There it is.
Welcome.
Congrats, Wet Blanket.
There it is.
Got some
Yeah.
cowpoke representation.
Make sure to thank Joey there for that wet blanket. I don't know if he's in here right now, but he'll see it later on. It doesn't just go to anyone in the chat. It just goes to like kind of Jesus. It just goes to the next person in line, so to say, automatically. But thank you, Joey, and wet blanket. Make sure thank Joey for that if you get the chance. There he is. So USC has a challenge with Utah because that will be a challenge. That defense.
Yeah.
I know that.
Their defense is good. The good news for us, so without Rising, their offense is pretty bad.
It is really bad. It has been bad the whole year.
And it's not at Rice Eccles. That also knocks them down 14 points right there. So I think USC wins this game, but it might be an early battle. Yeah.
There is one problem though. That Utah defense.
Yep, that's what we said.
Yep.
That's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, the Utah always has a good defense. That's like always a hallmark of Utah for the most part. Will, what is the Irish's?
We have a bye, and then we play Pitt.
So you're chilling. You got no worries this week. You're like cool.
We didn't even really talk about Pitt beating Louisville, did we? Now I think about it, but that was something.
It was briefly.
Yeah, I'm going to be chilling, relaxing, watching some CFB. Nothing much better than that.
There you go.
Yeah, we did kind of brush over Pitt Louisville a little bit, but yeah, that was kind of I think that was a letdown game for Louisville more than anything.
Yeah, they haven't beaten Pitt on the road since 2015. So I mean, apparently that's been a kind of a house of horrors for them. That was just a really weird game because I think Michael Vayer, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the quarterback for Pitt, now that Phil Dracovic has been moved to tight end. That's still weird to say. I think he completed he was 12 for 27, but he hit like 2 really big passing plays for touchdowns, and Louisville just couldn't get out of their own way as far as turnovers were concerned. That was one of those games. It was definitely a pretty predictable letdown spot. I mean, it was so ACC of them, but man, if you're a Louisville fan, you're kind of like, oh, there it is again. We were coming off of one of our biggest wins in the last 10 years, and then you go and drop a game to a one win team. It's pretty brutal. But hey, I know what it's like to have a disappointing loss to Pitt, so it happens.
Michigan. What is the schedule for Michigan?
We got little brother coming up.
Michigan State.
I want to say it'll be interesting, but I mean, I guess you can call it a
I just want to see a fight again. I want to see another fight.
Yeah, this one's going to be in East Lansing where there's no tunnel or no, single tunnel where they all have to, kind of meet. But, last year, they got beat 29-7 before the infamous, jump match in the tunnel.
That wasn't a fight. That was straight assault.
Yeah, it was a bad look for the program, but I don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. Their starting quarterback Noah Kim got benched for the Rutgers game.
It'll be Hauser.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Jalen Hauser. I mean, you can call it a rivalry game. I don't think this is going to be close, even in East Lansing. This should be, just another one of the cupcakes on the way to Penn State.
Yeah, we're going to take that 1936 stat. We're going to push it back to maybe 1899, something like that.
Well, it was in the AP poll.
How many natties has those stats gotten you over the years, Big Blue?
Well, I mean, we're the first team to do it since 1936, so we're actually an anomaly.
And also, Big Blue is Kentucky. Please don't insult us.
Yeah, we're Go Blue, man.
Yeah, Michigan State's going to be a quick walk. cakewalk.
I would assume that the team that did it in 1936, they won the chip. I don't know. I gotta look back
No, it's in the AP era, which goes back to the 36.
to 1936, correct? And then in the Big Ten, it goes back to 1905.
Again, how many natties have you guys got?
Spaz, why are we
With this
trying
current
to?
stat, I mean, we'd have to go back to 1936.
Well, Spaz, I'll give you an idea here. My mom's in her 70s. I think she's 76. She's seen one Michigan national championship. So
She about to see another.
there you go. One in 76 years.
She was pretty
She about to see
close.
another.
She was pretty close because we won multiple in the 40s.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm just messing around, dude. You know that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So who's Alabama playing, Jackson?
Yeah.
Oh, we got Tennessee the third Saturday in October in Tuscaloosa.
I'm here.
But I'm really hoping we don't slip up in this game. Although it's a revenge game, Saban usually wins on the revenge games, but the problem is we get in our own way, especially with those penalties.
You get them at home, and this is a different Tennessee team.
Hey, Spaz. Has Oregon ever won a national championship?
Everybody, but
No, we
here's the
haven't.
thing,
Oh, okay.
Jordan.
But I'm not out here promoting Oregon like they're the greatest thing in 5,000 years every week, neither. And then nobody's going to beat us.
So I've got to
That's a
attract
good point.
hey,
That's a good point.
Spaz, I got to take about. I think a couple weeks ago, I think it was either you or Ben. I'm fully come around now. Obviously, watching. Even though you guys give a lot of yards yesterday, I am buying stock in your guys' defense. You guys are flying around and making some good tackles. That's it's kind of scary to see you guys with that offense and that defense. Yeah, that's a full
we missed a
retraction.
couple of sloppy tackles yesterday, though. Again, it came back a couple of times and bite us.
It's college
we-
football. You're not going to be 100% in tackling.
We're going to go back. We want to get back to Jackson, and like you said, when we start playing offense like Washington or like USC, they're going to give up yards. That's just going to happen. That's inevitably going to happen. But Jackson, Tennessee's not looking great though.
Yeah, but they're gonna bring their A game against Bama. Like the games that are worrying me are Tennessee, LSU, and Auburn. The games that don't worry me are Kentucky and whatever FCS opponent. I keep forgetting their names.
Whatever
The
your
nice
November,
FCS
the November cupcake
towards
is.
the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm gonna watch the FCS game. Honestly, I'm watching other games.
Random Auburn tune-up year 131.
Yeah.
We should start doing that in the Pac-12. We might have more undefeated teams also.
Yeah. Let's just throw a bottom barrel feeding FCS team in week 9 or 10 of our conference. What?
I seem to recall Portland State playing against a few of you guys.
Not in week 9. Maybe in week 1 or 2, but not in week 9 or 10.
Well,
It's some ingenious scheduling. It's whatever they've done over the past like 15 years, whatever they did, everyone should have done it because it's kind of like in video games, right? There's a cheat and there's like an exploit, right? They just did like the exploit. They didn't cheat. They just kind of did a little exploit, right? They could take advantage of the system, and they did it within the rules.
You talking about the SEC?
Well,
We're talking about scheduling in the SEC.
Just do what Bama does. Bama does like clockwork. Their bye week is every year is before LSU, and their FCS team is every year before the Iron Bowl. But I mean, without exception. So just do that.
Yeah, their second bye week of the year. Yeah, is right before.
Yeah, they pretty much get a scrimmage right before they have to play Auburn. They pretty much get a little practice scrimmage, and then they get to play Auburn.
So there you go. I mean, right before the Civil War, just schedule Pepperdine or something.
Hey Ben, really quickly.
Pepperdine even have football?
Yes.
They do. Okay, wasn't sure.
Hey Ben, really quick. I totally screwed up on my show earlier. Gixer Squid put in a $5 super chat, and I missed it till later on. I apologize, Gixer. I saw it afterwards. Do you guys any ideas? Anyone want to talk about? Can we highlight Mizzou? Rarely hear about them.
I thought he was going to be gone by the end of the year, but
That man just got himself a couple more years, probably.
Oh yeah, he's been fantastic at Missouri this season. I mean,
I think it's because he
I-
let the calling go, right? Didn't he stop calling plays and some of these teams start winning?
it's working obviously. But I will say
When did they play Georgia?
Missouri plays Georgia on November 4th.
That could be interesting.
No, it won't.
Yeah, but it's in.
I mean, it was
Athens.
interesting last year.
Well,
True.
here,
It's true.
It's not in
Maybe.
Columbia. It's
You
in
never know.
Athens.
yeah,
I mean, at the
yeah.
end of the
Last
day,
year,
sorry, go ahead, Jackson.
yeah, last year it was close, and I think the home field advantage in Columbia had a lot to do with it. But I'm not seeing a tight game in Athens, especially if Brock Bowers is 100% healthy.
That is a big question mark for Georgia about Brock Bowers after he went out with like an ankle injury, I think it was. But yeah, shout out Missouri. I'm ranked them right now in the AP mark. Relax. Don't cut the feed.
And-
Missouri's ranked number 20 in the AP, 6-1, and third in the SEC East. I mean, they're on a roll right now. I
The
mean,
win was in Lexington too, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to make sure DeReal heard that.
They're good.
DeReal cracks me up, man. DeReal says the best teams with the championship are Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, and one other one. You gotta stop hating on Michigan, man. You gotta stop doing it, dog.
Man, shout out Missouri. Yeah, Missouri's a very quiet 6-1. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of forget about Missouri. They're
This might be the best win they have so far because other than that, I mean, their best win was what, Kansas State, and it looks like everybody outside of Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 is pretty bad.
Yeah.
yeah. Shout out to the kicker though for that like 61-yard field goal though he made
Oh
to
man,
beat
against
Kansas
Kansas.
State. Shout out to that.
Oh man, Missouri was storming the field that day.
Colorado storms the field after every win.
They've lost 3 games. You know what I want to do? Can we put a moratorium on Colorado until they actually do something? Because I think we're done with Colorado for the year. Can someone second my motion?
All I have to say is of any team that Colorado had to face, it was Stanford who got me out of having to get a Buffalo tattoo if they won 10 games. It was Stanford who killed that bet, so I don't have to get a Buffalo tattoo.
Who the hell bet you 10 wins for Colorado?
No, so one of our other guys said that Twitter was like, no, they're going to get 10 wins this year. And I'm like, is that regular season? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'll take that bet. If they get 10 regular season wins, I will get a Buffalo tattoo. Well, against you guys, Tim, I was like this, Colorado, don't you dare. Don't you damn dare win this game, I swear. And then Stanford knocked it out. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you, Stanford.
Well, Colorado's defense is a disaster.
Their offensive line ain't much better either.
True.
No.
Nor is decision making most of the time, unfortunately.
Especially recently.
It's still a bad look whether it's you or your PR team or whoever is running your Twitter, Instagram, whoever, to be putting out your merchandise off your social media during halftime of a game.
That's
and
bad.
then you go and lay an egg in the second half and lose a 30-point game. That is not a good look.
That's ugly.
And I will say I don't want to keep talking about Colorado too much, but like some of the biggest names, as you say, like on the team, who is it? Shador, Hunter, Shiloh, Weaver, and Horn, right? Basically, those are kind of like the main 5 guys. If you watch like the highlights of the Stanford game, Shiloh's running around not doing anything but yelling at everyone, going, "What are you doing?" And he's not doing anything. He's not in position. He's not making tackles. Like the Oregon game, he was getting burnt, run over. I mean, he left the Oregon game pissing blood after the Oregon game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on, man.
In the liver.
And you're yelling at your corners like,
that's
what are you doing?
That's why Dion ranked him last in his Sun rankings. Yeah.
Ouch. Jesus.
I'm just saying. I mean, Dion sees it just like we do.
That interview, Jordan, was classic. Anybody that's a parent knows that. Like, he said what all parents said. You have your favorites, you just don't say it out loud. You know,
Yeah.
he will tell you out loud who he ranks for his kids. Like he said, he knows the one's going to put you in the old folks' home, and you know the one's going to help you out. You know.
Yeah.
Jesus. I wasn't expecting that though for Jordan. All of a sudden, I was like, card.
I'm just saying.
And I'll say for the room, like I said with you guys in the back, if you want to have some more fun at Colorado's expense, Saturday Night Live did a skit with
Kenan Thompson.
Yeah, Kenan Thompson with being Coach Prime. It was absolutely hilarious. So you can check that out if you want a quick laugh at Colorado's expense.
I will say that was a pretty good skit.
It was a hilarious skit. I love it. Kenan Thompson's he's just gold with everything he does on that show.
Oh, he's a legend. I mean, he is a legend. From the years at Kenan and Kel to Saturday Night Live. I mean,
that's Kenan and Kel. That's always that's my childhood right there. But
hey Tim, would you agree with what just as a not as a USC guy, but as a USC person, would you agree with Felipe just said about how like too many celebrities at the Boulder games? It happens at USC all the time. Kind of gives the kids too big of a head.
No, because the celebrities they're not exactly like the celebrities are there before the game, but it happens at all. You know, it happens up in you guys up in Oregon. You guys have celebrities up there too. Usually athletes. Like you'll have athletes on the sidelines. I've seen that many times. But you just mean like like music stars. I mean, USC's in LA. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have tons of actors, tons of musicians and musical artists, and they come to the game just to get noticed. That's really all it is. They're not. Most of them aren't even USC fans. You know what I mean? They're just trying to get a little publicity. It's what they do in Hollywood.
Do you think, okay, overall though, for like all of us too, do you think, teams that allow, the heavy athletes and superstars to come down, do you think that hinders the players at times? Do you think it could?
I mean, it could be if you have good coaching, it shouldn't.
Right. I don't have a problem with celebrities being at college football games. I just have a problem with the ones that pretend that they're all about this team or that team. Like I said earlier, I always get happy to see Snoop Dogg at USC football games because he knows his stuff about USC football and he bats it up. I bet.
But they got to be true fans. And like I said, Will Ferrell has been a USC fan for as long as I can remember.
He's an SC alum, so I mean that's the reason. Yeah. But also,
Matthew McConaughey has been a UT fan for as long as I can remember.
Yeah. And then you have other celebrities that go that they couldn't name you the starting quarterback who won the Heisman Trophy last year. I mean, literally, you probably ask them a question, they have no clue who Caleb is. So I mean, it's just the location of USC. I mean, granted, there aren't many over at UCLA, but it's UCLA, right? Sorry, Serge, if you're out there.
Well, gentlemen, is there any other game next weekend you want to talk about? Because I think we've covered quite a lot tonight. And we've taken some deep shots at some certain players.
Yeah.
Well, we've been on for 8 hours, so I think it's probably time to call it.
I think so, too. And my printer is deciding to be a complete bitch over here, and I'm trying to fix it for some reason.
Apologize to your printer.
Right.
Yeah, screw that thing.
A hate crime. On your printer.
Well, everyone here in the panel, as usual, thank you once again for being here in the chat. Everyone who's given the super chats, always appreciate it. Helps the channel a lot. Again, also make sure you hit that like button if you haven't. Helps the show out a lot. Helps Mark. And we will be right here next Sunday, as always. Same time, 9 p.m. Central, for the After Dark show to talk about the weekend games. And until next week, gentlemen, I appreciate it and thank you very much.
Okay.